Pentagon leaders defended the highest ever military budget, citing China and other eventualities.
What would happen if China and the U.S. went to war hour by hour? Did you ever imagine what would happen if China and the U.S. went to war, in which the China Army Rocket Force unleashed thousands of ballistic and anti-ship missiles, while the U.S. deploys its advanced Space Force technology and naval firepower? In this video, you'll find out exactly what can and cannot happen. In the first hour of the hypothetical war between China and the U.S., the conflict erupts with a devastating missile strike launched by China's People's Liberation Army Rocket Force. Their objective is to neutralize the U.S. Pacific forces and gain a strategic advantage. The U.S. Space Force and Navy quickly respond, detecting the incoming missiles and activating their defenses to safeguard crucial assets and personnel. China's missile attack is targeted at U.S. military bases in the Pacific region, including important locations such as Guam and Hawaii. The intensity of the assault results in significant damage and casualties, creating a chaotic and dire situation. In response to the surprise attack, the entire U.S. military apparatus is placed on high alert.
In order to protect the American people, readiness now and readiness in the future through modernization.
The President, combatant commanders, and military installations across the globe are immediately notified, emphasizing the gravity of the situation and the need for a coordinated response. This initial hour sets the stage for a harrowing conflict with immense consequences. The rapid escalation of hostilities and the scale of destruction underscores the severity of the situation, leaving both nations and the world on edge as the war unfolds. The following hours and days will likely witness intense military engagements, strategic maneuvering, and a struggle for control, as both sides attempt to gain the upper hand in this high-stakes confrontation. The implications of this clash could reverberate for years to come, shaping the future of international relations and global stability. As the second hour unfolds, the U.S. Space Force's 2nd Space Warning Squadron swiftly analyzes the Chinese attack, comprehending its scale and nature.
It seems that we spend way more focus on projecting power, especially into the areas around China.
Their timely detection and analysis proved crucial in providing early warning to the U.S. military, enabling them to respond more effectively. American missile defenses engage the incoming Chinese missiles with urgency. While some missiles are successfully intercepted, others manage to bypass the defenses, causing destruction and havoc on the targeted U.S. bases in the Pacific. The missile barrage results in severe damage to military installations and equipment, impacting the ability to mount a quick counteroffensive. Tragically, the attack also causes collateral damage, hitting civilian targets in neighboring countries like Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines. Innocent civilians bear the brunt of the conflict, further escalating tensions and regional instability. The gravity of the situation prompts U.S. nuclear forces to be placed on high alert. The possibility of a nuclear response from China looms ominously, heightening fears of an escalation to a catastrophic level. The risk of nuclear war becomes a grim reality, and strategic decisions are made with extreme caution to avoid triggering an all-out nuclear conflict. In the midst of the chaos, communication channels between China and the U.S. are strained. Both sides are now aware of the grave implications of their actions, and diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation are initiated, though tensions remain high. The international community closely monitors the situation, fearing that any miscalculated move could tip the scales into a full-blown global crisis.
This is an up-close view of a Chinese warship in the water east of Taiwan. They've been calling on the radio warning this aircraft to keep its distance.
Key world leaders engage in urgent dialogues, calling for restraint and urging both nations to seek peaceful resolutions to their disputes. Behind the scenes, intelligence agencies from various countries work tirelessly to gather information on the unfolding events. Cyber warfare tactics come into play as both China and the U.S. attempt to disrupt each other's military networks and communication systems. In an effort to control the situation and prevent further escalations, the United Nations convenes an Emergency Security Council session.
The U.S. intelligence community assesses that China almost certainly is capable of launching cyber attacks that could disrupt critical infrastructure services within the United States, including against oil.
All member states voice their concerns and support initiatives to mediate a peaceful resolution. As the second hour draws to a close, the world watches in trepidation as the fate of the international relations hangs in the balance. The potential consequences of a prolonged conflict between two global superpowers are unimaginable, making it crucial for both sides to exercise restraint and consider the catastrophic implications of further aggressive actions. While the immediate focus lies on military defense and damage control, the world's attention turns to diplomatic efforts and international pressure to bring an end to the hostilities. The crisis serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of global peace and the urgent need for cooperation and dialogue among nations to prevent conflicts from spiraling out of control. The outcome of this critical moment will shape the course of history and the future of international relations for generations to come. During the third hour, China intensifies its military cyber operations in an attempt to disrupt U.S. military networks and communications. However, the U.S. military has implemented their multi-redundancy global alerting systems, making it challenging for the cyber attacks to cripple their capabilities completely. While the cyber battle rages in the virtual realm, China's missile barrage continues unabated, targeting U.S. bases and installations in the Pacific region. The relentless missile strikes cause further damage to critical infrastructure and inflict more casualties on American forces. In response to China's naval buildup and to counter the growing threat, the U.S. military deploys its LRASM, or Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile Systems. These advanced weapons are launched from various platforms, including aircraft and aerial tankers, enabling the U.S. to confront and disrupt Chinese naval forces. The LRASM, equipped with sophisticated stealth technology, proves especially effective in penetrating enemy defenses and striking high-value targets, creating a significant deterrent against China's maritime aggression. Simultaneously, American submarines enter the fray, taking on the task of targeting and engaging Chinese ships and submarines.
And that's part of what we do when we go on our patrol, is set ourselves up in a condition so that we can maintain continuous communications with the chain of command.
The U.S. Navy submarine fleet, known for its stealth and lethality, becomes a critical component of the conflict. Armed with long-range anti-ship missiles, the submarines operate covertly, striking Chinese vessels with deadly precision and causing substantial damage to the enemy's maritime assets. The combination of air-launched long-range anti-ship missiles, LRASMs, and the devastating impact of American submarines tips the balance in favor of the U.S. Navy, disrupting China's naval offensive and pushing back against their territorial ambitions. The relentless pressure applied by the U.S. forces forces China to reevaluate its strategy and tactics in the Pacific theater. As the conflict progresses, both sides endure heavy losses and casualties. The U.S. military, well practiced in joint operations, starts to adapt to the situation, maximizing the strengths of its diverse branches, while China struggles to coordinate its newly unified military under a single joint command. The war's third hour sets the stage for an extended and grueling struggle between the two global powers, with the U.S. showcasing the effectiveness of its advanced weaponry and well-established joint operations, and China demonstrating its determination to defend its interests. The conflict enters a crucial phase where every hour of engagement could shape the outcome of this high-stakes confrontation.
祖国完全统一的历史任务一定要实现，也一定能够实现。
The world watches with bated breath as the unfolding events hold the potential to reshape the geopolitical landscape and the balance of power in the Pacific region. As the sixth hour of the conflict unfolds, both China and the U.S. find themselves grappling with significant losses in their air fleets, which profoundly affects their respective air capabilities. The intense aerial engagements have taken a toll on the combat aircraft of both nations, leaving them with diminished numbers and resources. In a strategic move, the U.S. military begins implementing the innovative Rapid Dragon concept. This involves using transport aircraft, specifically C-130 and C-17 cargo planes, to launch cruise missiles against Chinese bases and military installations. By converting civilian airfields into military ones and widely dispersing their forces before the war, the U.S. gains the advantage of surprise and flexibility.
We're over the South China Sea, and that is a Chinese J-11 fighter, and he's flying right beside us.
The Rapid Dragon concept enables the U.S. to overwhelm Chinese air defenses from a distance and further disrupt their operations on the ground. American aircraft shift their focus towards targeting and neutralizing Chinese airborne warning and control system platforms. These airborne early warning and control aircraft play a crucial role in coordinating Chinese air operations, providing a comprehensive view of the battlefield and guiding their fighters. By disabling or destroying these AWACS platforms, the U.S. aims to disrupt China's air superiority and gain a tactical advantage in the sky. However, China's J-20 stealth fighters remain a formidable threat to Allied fourth-generation aircraft such as the F-15, F-16, and F-18. The J-20, though less stealthy than its American counterparts, possesses advanced capabilities that make it a potent adversary in aerial combat. One of its most significant advantages is the PL-15 air-to-air missile, which outranges American AIM-120 missiles by a considerable margin. This extended range gives the Chinese fighters the ability to engage American, Australian, and Japanese aircraft before they can even detect the J-20's presence. To counter this threat, the U.S. relies on its frontline stealth aircraft, the F-22 and F-35. These fifth-generation fighters possess advanced stealth technology, which allows them to approach enemy aircraft undetected, gaining the upper hand in air-to-air engagements. By exploiting their superior stealth capabilities, F-22s and F-35s can fire at the J-20 before the Chinese fighters even realize they are being targeted, significantly increasing the odds of a successful engagement. Amidst the complex and evolving aerial warfare, both sides continue to adopt their strategies and tactics. China seeks to maintain air dominance over the region and leverage its numerical advantage in aircraft, while the U.S. strives to exploit the technological superiority of its stealth fighters and long-range missile systems.
450 now, but when I level off, I'll be 450 for the loop. F-35 7 for the loop.
The conflict's sixth hour marks a critical juncture in the air war as losses on both sides lead to a reassessment of resources and priorities. With aircraft fleets diminishing and air operations becoming more challenging, each decision becomes crucial in determining the outcome of the conflict. As the hours progress, the war between China and the U.S. intensifies, with both nations vying for supremacy in the skies. The aerial battles become increasingly ferocious as each side employs its most advanced and formidable assets to gain the upper hand. At the same time, the ground war rages on, with China's attempted invasion of Taiwan facing fierce resistance from the Taiwanese military and civilian population. The island's terrain, fortified defenses, and determination to resist the invasion pose significant challenges for China's military. The war's outcome remains uncertain as the conflict enters its sixth hour and beyond. The stakes are high, and the decisions made by military leaders on both sides will shape the course of history. The world watches with bated breath, hoping for a peaceful resolution, but bracing for the worst as the clash between the two global powers continues unabated. As the war enters its 12th hour, the invasion of Taiwan by China is in full swing. Chinese troops confront fierce resistance from Taiwanese forces who are determined to defend their homeland at all costs. The beaches are booby-trapped, causing significant obstacles for the invading forces and leading to heavy casualties among the Chinese Marines. In the skies above Taiwan, Taiwanese F-16s engage in intense air battles with Chinese fighters.
Is this military ready to deal with that threat? we are pilots. We are fighter pilots. We are prepared to face every kind of challenge.
The Taiwanese pilots bravely fight back, but the odds are against them as they face a technologically superior adversary. Amidst the turmoil on land and in the air, American submarines continue to pose a deadly threat to Chinese ships and submarines. Known for their stealth and lethality, U.S. submarines have become a force to be reckoned with during the conflict. They relentlessly target and engage Chinese naval assets, inflicting heavy losses on the Chinese fleet and adding to the mounting challenges faced by China and their ambitious invasion. As the battle rages on, both China and the U.S. are grappling with the harsh realities of war. The loss of lives and assets on both sides underscores the gravity of the conflict. Despite the hardships, neither party shows any sign of backing down. In Taiwan, the determination of the Taiwanese people to defend their land fuels their resistance against the Chinese invasion. They utilize every advantage they have, turning their island into a fortress and exploiting their knowledge of the terrain to gain the upper hand. On the Chinese side, the realization that the invasion is more challenging than anticipated causes concerns among the leadership. The expectation of a swift victory over Taiwan is replaced with the reality of a prolonged and grueling conflict.
It might take only 1 or 2 minutes for them to come to our airspace, so it's very threatening.
China faces the daunting task of moving over 2 million troops across the strait to achieve its goals, while simultaneously managing the consequences of its actions in the international arena. For the U.S., the war effort poses significant logistical challenges. Rebuilding its air and naval forces will take years, making it heavily reliant on its allies to maintain global stability during this period. The participation of NATO countries in the conflict further strengthens the resolve of the Allied forces, adding pressure on China's trade and supply lines. As the war progresses, the international community closely monitors the unfolding events. Diplomatic efforts to mediate and bring about a ceasefire are ongoing, but achieving a resolution in the midst of a full-scale conflict proves to be an arduous task. The 12th hour marks a critical juncture of the war, with both China and the U.S. grappling with the evolving complexities of the conflict. The battle for Taiwan intensifies, and the stakes grow higher with each passing moment. The resilience and capabilities of both sides will be tested as they navigate the challenges that lie ahead in their pursuit of victory. The outcome of this conflict will undoubtedly shape the future of the region and have far-reaching implications on the global stage. As the war reaches its 24th hour, the situation on the ground is becoming increasingly complex and tense. U.S. and allied forces have managed to weather the initial barrage of Chinese missiles and are now mounting a more robust defense in response to the invasion of Taiwan.
According to a report issued earlier this month, Chinese military is replacing short-range weapons with medium and long-range missiles near Taiwan.
Chinese Air Force, while formidable in numbers, is facing significant challenges. Aircraft shortages and inexperience among its pilots are hampering their operations, making it difficult for them to maintain air superiority. The lack of combat experience in realistic training scenarios is evident, and this is leading to difficulties in coordinating airspace over and around Taiwan, resulting in disturbingly common friendly fire incidents. Amidst the air battle, American carriers join the fray, employing their advanced standoff weapons and stealth technology to target Chinese forces. Utilizing their long-range capabilities, U.S. aircraft launch precision strikes against key enemy assets, attempting to disrupt and disorient Chinese military operations. The presence of F-22s and F-35s with their stealth capabilities proves particularly advantageous in outmaneuvering Chinese fighters and gaining a tactical edge. In a strategic move, the U.S. Navy enacts a blockade on China's critical sea trade routes. More than 60% of China's trade relies on ocean transportation, and with the majority of its oil supplies coming via maritime routes, the blockade severely impacts China's economic prosperity. The U.S. Navy, along with its allied partners, works diligently to enforce the blockade, limiting China's access to vital resources and isolating its economy from the global market. As the conflict intensifies, casualties and destruction mount on both sides. The Chinese invasion of Taiwan continues, with Taiwanese forces fiercely defending their homeland. Chinese troops face significant resistance on the beaches, encountering booby traps and determined defenders. The ferocity of the battle is pushing both sides to their limits, but Taiwan's resolute stance and prepared defenses are complicating China's efforts to swiftly conquer the island. In the skies, the air war remains a critical battleground. Taiwan's F-16s engage in dogfights with Chinese fighters, striving to gain air superiority over the island. However, China's PL-15 missile, boasting an extended range and advanced capabilities, provides its air force with an advantage, making it difficult for Taiwanese aircraft to maintain control of the airspace. The U.S. submarine fleet continues to be a formidable threat to Chinese naval assets, and operating with stealth and precision, American submarines target and engage Chinese ships and submarines, inflicting significant damage on China's maritime capabilities. Their effectiveness in naval warfare plays a pivotal role in keeping Chinese naval forces at bay and protecting U.S. and allied interests in the region. As the war progresses, the stakes are high, and the situation remains fluid and unpredictable. Both sides are grappling with the consequences of their actions, facing heavy losses in personnel and equipment. The conflict's ramifications extend beyond the battlefield, with geopolitical tensions and economic implications coming into play. As week 2 of the war unfolds, the air war continues to be a crucial battleground, heavily favoring the Allies. However, China still poses a significant threat with its J-20 stealth fighters and the deadly PL-15 missiles. The J-20s provide a challenge to fourth-generation Allied aircraft such as the F-15, F-16, and F-18, making air engagements fiercely contested. To gain an edge, the U.S. employs an innovative strategy known as the Rapid Dragon concept. This involves using transport aircraft to launch cruise missiles against Chinese bases, aiming to disrupt their air operations and logistics networks. Their primary targets are the Taiwanese leadership, including senior government and military officials. The goal is to destabilize the island and disrupt its defense efforts. However, the Taiwanese Special Forces, determined to protect their leaders, put up fierce resistance against the infiltrating Chinese operatives.
To me, 2027 is a year that we need to watch out. Xi Jinping is likely to go into his fourth term. If you look at the Chinese situation right now.
Despite the assassination attempts, the Taiwanese leadership remains resilient, taking necessary precautions and evading further attacks. The island's government continues to rally its people and military to stand united against the invading Chinese forces. As the war reaches its second week, the situation becomes increasingly complex. Both sides suffer heavy losses in their air fleets, which significantly impact their air capabilities. The U.S.-led coalition is determined to disrupt China's military and economic capabilities, utilizing its global network of allies and advanced military technology. China, facing mounting challenges in its air force and naval operations, must reassess its strategies and resources. The war has far-reaching consequences, with civilian targets in Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines caught in the crossfire, leading to tragic collateral damage. The conflict's intensity continues to escalate, with each hour bringing new developments and strategic shifts. The international community closely watches the unfolding events, aware of the potential implications on global stability and geopolitical dynamics. As the war stretches into its second month, China's air fleet is struggling to maintain its strength, increasingly relying on older jets as its more advanced aircraft face heavy losses in battles against the U.S. and allied forces. The Allies continue to demonstrate their superior air capabilities, and putting immense pressure on the Chinese military and hampering their operations. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy executes a strategic move to disrupt China's critical trade artery, effectively blockading its major maritime trade routes. China heavily depends on sea trade for its economic prosperity, with over 60% of its trade being conducted by sea. With the blockade in place, China's access to crucial resources and goods is severely restricted, further exacerbating the economic strain caused by the war. In addition to the blockade's impact, China faces another major challenge as its oil supplies dwindle rapidly.
We are not going to be bullied, we are not going to be coerced, and we are going to stay here and fly and operate in international norms.
The U.S. submarines unleash devastating attacks on pipelines that transport oil from Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, significantly reducing China's access to this essential resource. As a result, the Chinese people are forced to cope with rationing and shortages, leading to growing discontent and frustration among the population. The initial promises of a swift victory over Taiwan and its American allies have given way to the harsh realities of a prolonged and costly conflict. China's leadership is under immense pressure to bring the war to a decisive end, but the Taiwanese people's determination to resist the invasion and the allies' formidable military capabilities have thwarted China's initial plans. As the war enters its second month, the cost of human lives and economic resources continues to rise for both sides. The Chinese military's inexperience and overextension become apparent, while the U.S. and its allies remain steadfast in their resolve to defend Taiwan and maintain regional stability. In the coming weeks, the war is likely to take more twists and turns, with both sides grappling for any advantage they can find. The global community closely watches the developments, as the ramifications of this conflict extend far beyond the borders of the region. The strategic decisions made by each nation and the consequences of their actions will shape the trajectory of this war and its aftermath. In the months that follow, the war between China and the U.S. persists, exacting devastating losses on both sides. The conflict has far-reaching implications, leading the United States to lean heavily on its allies for stability and support. With both countries heavily invested in the conflict, the toll on their economies is significant. However, China's failed invasion of Taiwan proves particularly detrimental to its economy, exacerbating the already strained situation. The U.S., determined to ensure lasting security in the Pacific region, refuses to cease hostilities until it can effectively dismantle the entire Chinese Air Force and Navy. The prolonged and arduous war reshapes the global geopolitical landscape, leaving a lasting impact for years to come. Let us know what you think in the comment box, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And thanks for watching.